Today I've got a Ranger subclass that lets you unleash unique effects from any item in 5E's vast list of gear. Using my signature action cam, I'll show you how you can use these items to swing combat in your favor. This subclass was inspired by Gachiakuta, a quote-unquote trash punk setting full of rust, sand, and oozing with style. Welcome to My Wife Is, the MC, where we take pop culture to pen and paper. I'm V and I've been running and designing D&D Homebrew for 10 years. We'll be looking at the Remnant Sentinel today, one of the few ranger classes on this channel. Now you might be wondering, why did I use a ranger and not a fighter? After all, the elevator pitch for this subclass is to use any object as a weapon, which is very fighter-coded. Rangers, on the other hand, are connected to a domain or a field. Gloomstalkers and Feywanderers, for example, have ties to the Shadowfell and the Feywilds respectively. In fact, the original 5e Ranger from 2014 lets you choose a favored terrain. So what makes a Remnant Sentinel a good fit for the Ranger? Narratively, they stand vigil over the discarded remains of old civilizations, ensuring the ancient grudges infused within their refuse don't give rise to terrible monstrosities. This unique connection to the past gives them powers that let them manifest these intentions held within objects. And if the thumbnail hasn't tipped you off yet, the Remnant Sentinel is inspired by the manga/anime series Gachiakuta. It's set in a world where people on the ground are forced to live with the trash dropped by the skyfaring folks from the sphere. But it's not just the inequality that plagues the land dwellers. The ground is so inundated with trash that monsters called trash beasts threaten the earthbound citizens. They're amalgamations of garbage formed from the memories that have seeped into the refuse. It's a very evocative and almost post-apocalyptic setting, and I really love that. And if you want to play in a setting like the ground, then today's sponsor has got you covered. Scorched Basin is a Kickstarter project by today's video sponsor, Homie and the Dude. It's a desert punk setting with a system-agnostic design, so you can run it on nearly any game. This is easy to drag and drop into an existing campaign or use it out of the box thanks to its deep lore and varied locales. It also includes 5 factions, each with its own player options, from the Wild Riders to the orderly Kai Dynasty. Full disclaimer, I'm a little biased towards the Kai because I had the honor of voicing as one of their NPCs. But beyond the basin's vast expanse of sand and twisted metal is the setting's unique magic system, complete with custom rules. And speaking of rules, players can interact with systems like vehicle mechanics and even an alchemy system that makes use of the setting's bespoke flora and fauna. Back Scorched Basin by clicking the first link in the description or via the QR code. There's still time to support the project before it ends on October 9. Backing the project also supports the channel, and it'll help me feed MC's risotto addiction for the next month. Thank you for your support, and a huge thank you to Homie and the Dude for sponsoring this video. Let's make a character sheet for our main guy, Rudo, as he drops into the ruins of the ground. Rudo once lived in the sphere, but even up there, he was among the outcasts of high society. His desire to fix quote-unquote garbage and give these objects a new lease in life gave him a strong affinity for broken things. And considering the Spherite culture's view on cleanliness, it didn't take much for them to exile the boy. All it took was a little bloody push. So he'll be a level 7 ranger with the human species and the Wayfarer background. For ASIs, let's take Tough from Human for simplicity and a +1 to Dex and Wiz at level 4. His stats look like this. And now that that's all set up, are you comfy at the table? Let's check the Remnant Sentinel's features in... Welcome to the Action Cam! Rudo drops into the ground filled with all manner of ruin and refuse. The earth shifts beneath him as the heaps move and amalgamate into ferocious trash beasts. Rudo finds himself surrounded, but this is when his powers awaken. He looks around for anything and finds a doll, a trinket from a bygone era. While holding this object, he'll use Awakened Implement, which is the Remnant Sentinel's core feature. Doing so transforms the doll into a stylized version of itself, called an Awakened Implement. This feature works on any item as long as it's in the PHP, and each one grants a unique effect. In this case, the doll floats around him in a 10-foot aura. As part of the same bonus action, he'll use one of the doll's abilities and cast the Bless spell on himself. He doesn't expend any spell slots for this spell, but it does draw from the item's awakening charges. This is a resource unique to each Awakened Implement, and it's used up whenever you use its special abilities. He'll try to take out one of the 2 bipedal trash beasts. Currently, it doesn't look like he has any weapons on him, but he can actually use Awakened Implements as an improvised weapon, which he has proficiency with. And thanks to his bonded will property, he can attack using his wisdom instead of strength or dexterity. Rudo commands the doll to swipe at the trash beast, manifesting sharp claws on its nub-like paws. A few things happen here in this sequence. First, the Awakened Implement's Remnant Empowerment property lets him deal 1d6 force damage using an improvised weapon. Second, this property also lets Rudo cast Hunter's Mark or move an existing one once per turn as part of the hit. Rudo attacks the second trash beast, bloodying the creature, but is unable to take it down. The boy will try to create some distance as he spots more beasts on the horizon. Rudo suddenly realizes that the air in this place is highly toxic, and it's beginning to burn his lungs. Thanks to Rudo's roving speed, the other trash beasts needed to dash to get close to him. Unfortunately, this left him vulnerable, and the blessed spell from the doll has worn off. Rudo's desperate, but he's nothing if not tenacious. He'll attack the trash beasts around him. He's still flanked by 2 trash beasts, however, so he'll use another bonus action and use the doll to cast the Bane spell. Unfortunately, casting this spell reduced the doll's awakening charges to 0. This ends the transformation as the object crumbles into dust. On top of that, the noxious air continues to eat away at his vitality. The 2 trash beasts attempt to pounce on the boy. Rudo's still in this fight. Even without a weapon, he still has his keepsake gloves given to him by his father. This is another level 3 feature, which lets you designate one item that won't crumble after using Awaken Implement. As he awakens the power within the gloves, he'll use the level 7 feature, Remnant Impulse. This manifests a spirit-like entity that covers a 10-foot emanation around you. As part of activating this feature, Rudo also has to choose one of 2 impulses, Aggression or Protection. For this battle, he'll use Aggression. It lets him take the dash action as a bonus action and reduce one attack roll against him as a reaction. Rudo also uses the Remnant Impulse's third benefit, Impulse Empowerment. This gives a small +1 bump to attacks using Awakened Implements while the Remnant Impulse is active. Small disclaimer, this is a little out of place for a ranger at level 7, but this is the only way for Remnant Sentinels to gain a +1 bonus to attacks and damage rolls, because their Awakened Implements are mostly objects or improvised weapons. Rudo makes unarmed strikes against the remaining trash beasts. And with the final trash beast down, Rudo can finally breathe in a sigh of relief, only to get hit once again by the miasma that permeates the ground. His troubles aren't over, however, as the ground beneath him shifts once more, revealing several colossal trash beasts ready for round 2. But as one of the giants is about to smash the weakened boy, a man with an umbrella flies in and interrupts the fight. That amazing battle map was provided by the fine folks over at Homie and the Dude. It's called the Ship Graveyard, and it's one of the many battle maps you can get by backing Scorched Basin. While Rudo is the inspiration for this subclass, this isn't a full conversion of his abilities. The anime and manga are still ongoing after all, so I figured I'd create a subclass inspired by his powers instead. But feel free to tell me all about his powers in the comments. By the way, shout out to Patreon member Brainbomb for giving me a lot of inspiration to work with. In terms of player buy-in, I think the biggest draw for the Remnant Sentinel is the breadth of items you can draw from. And because the items crumble into dust afterwards, it encourages you to interact with 5A's adventuring gear more intently. But I'm the designer of this subclass, so my opinion's a little bit biased. So let's ask the local player, aka my wife, and get her thoughts on the Remnant Sentinel. Okay, so this is not the My Wife is the MC podcast, but I have with me here MC, who will give her thoughts.
Hello.
So, MC, what are your general thoughts on the Remnant Sentinel?
I have many thoughts. My first thought was that given what we've already watched of Gacha Yakuta, it was easy to see how you took that into D&D mechanics, because reading the D&D mechanics made me feel like I was reading a rule set for how to actually literally play a giver. The limitations aren't exactly the same, but I think that just makes it more fun. And the level of bookkeeping that I see when it comes to tracking awakened charges or keeping track of what your implements are, what you choose to be your keepsake, and the sheer amount of items that you can use and all the ones that you actually wrote. It really captures the versatility of having literally anything become a precious item or a keepsake.
Oh, thank you. That's not biased. because you're my wife.
No.
For context, she literally just read the features like 30 minutes ago. So this reaction is really super fresh.
Yeah.
And
I read fast too.
yeah, she's a fast reader, unlike me. And also, as of the time of writing, I'm actually not done writing all the Awakened implements because there's so many. But when this video is out, it's done. I envy you, future me.
For the record, this thing is already at 15 pages, so the fact that there's going to be more items in here, it's going to be a meaty one, guys.
Okay, so how would you play a Remnant How would you play a Remnant Sentinel character?
This one is interesting because it's not tied to a particular morality like the previous homebrew you released was. Vash has a very clear position on the morality scale. He is all about love and peace. But a Remnant Sentinel very much reflected in how literally anyone who is a giver in the Gachiakuta world can swing any which way. Just because you have an item that you consider really precious, you could be super sweet and super nice and protective of people. But you could also be insane and hostile and want to cut people with your keepsake. So personally, I like playing good characters, so I would definitely play a good aligned character for one, but I'd have to think for more than 30 minutes about what my actual keepsake or even awakened implement would be because I like collecting a lot of stuff, you know this, so it's hard for me to pick for one thing to make my one keepsake, for example.
That's absolutely true, by the way. She has so much stuff. Note to future me, make sure to post a picture of
all the stuff
in the video.
Not just D&D stuff either.
No, not just D&D stuff.
I like collecting pretty stuff.
So
do you.
We're running out of space. I like that most of what you described in the morality part is pretty much just jabber.
It is actually, I have to admit, I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. I wouldn't be within 20 feet of him either, but he's really fun to watch. He's so unapologetically insane, but it's at the same time, he actually has a purpose. He's not just being insane for insanity's sake, which is not easy to find in a lot of crazy characters doing it for the rule of cool.
Okay, jabber glazing aside.
Not what I meant to, by the way. V is nothing like that, just to be clear.
No, I'm not a masochist. Anyway.
Get it out of your system.
Okay, so last question. What's your favorite part about this homebrew?
The sheer versatility. I've seen you make mega documents, especially for the Kamen Rider videos and the Kamen Rider settings in general, but just the fact that Gachiakuta is all about turning anything into something precious and magical. The fact that you wrote so many items and then features for each item, it's like you made an entire Wikipedia's worth of what can you do with a random thing that you decide is really important to you.
I appreciate that. It feels validating, especially since you're not the most mechanics aligned player.
I'm really not.
And you managed to understand the way I wrote the rules, so I'm proud of that. Thank you.
So the fact that a non-mechanic savvy person like me who really got into D&D in the first place because of roleplay and immersive escapism, being able to actually go through the mechanics, understand them, especially after getting to play it once or twice, it says a lot about the quality of the actual rule set.
That ends this portion of the podcast of My Wife is the MC.
Yeah.
Thank you, Homie and the Dude, by the way, for sponsoring this video.
Thank you.
And back to the rest of the video. You can find the subclass document in the second link in the description. The shop page has a light version that includes features up to level 7, completely free. If you like what we do here, consider supporting the channel by backing Scorch Basin, purchasing from our shop, or becoming a Patreon or Ko-Fi member. Membership grants exclusive Discord access, special discounts, and higher tiers get free and early access to my homebrew. By the way, members, I'm about to release some exclusive homebrews soon, so keep an eye on that. And of course, becoming a member adds your name among these honored mallards you see on screen. All rise for MC as she gives a shout out to our royal guards.
Hello again, everyone, and a huge thank you to our amazing mallards. Gaming. Challenge every time. Storm Starshine, Yggdrasil 88, Bryant LW, Coinop 1989, KV, Piku, and Cosplay Battle. And lastly, all hail our Mallard nobility, Hectic Planet. Once again, guys, if you made it this far into the video, thank you, really, from the bottom of our hearts. Your support is always appreciated.
Hello, Unscripted V here, and thanks for making it to the end. Also, super huge thank you to Homie and the Dude for the sponsorship, and I hope everyone who supports it has a great time with Scorched Basin. By the way, the description has a poll for the October videos, so check that out when you have the time. Did you know that this is the second homebrew that can fit Scorched Basin? If you want a more desert punk inspiration, go check out my Trigun video right here. Until then, everybody, my wife and I hope you have a great day ahead.